the sun. To dream, believe in strength. Now I'm the only one, only one. I was an ordinary boy until I broke the rules. My life destroyed, life destroyed. Until I walk awake, scream my mind, I shout, the ground shakes. How much can I take? My mind will break. Will it break? Can I take? Can I be your superhero? First time of today, to dream, believe, you are the strength, you're all I need. Oh, gonna give it a shot, only one of me, to shield you all from the enemy. You're a superhero. Can I be your superhero? Superhero. 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 Can I be your superhero?
Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Grindstone Developments Truck Series, live tonight from Kentucky Speedway. And we got a good one in store as we finally make our way back to the mile-and-a-half tracks before we get down towards the end of the season. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You are watching Austin Green on PGR eSports. Qualifying just wrapping up. Drivers getting ready to get on the grid. Again, we got a good one in store tonight. You think about what's left in the season and what happened last week. We were at Lucas Oil IRP. Andrew Hale out of nowhere gets the win. Shows that he could still be a contender for this championship battle. And again, looking at the upcoming schedule, knowing that Kentucky is one of the last kind of normal tracks to a degree that we have before it's a road course, 2 short tracks, and then a tricky one in Darlington before we get back to the next regular mile-and-a-half in Atlanta Motor Speedway to round out the season. So a lot of storylines in play here tonight, but before we get to all that, let's get right down trackside and get into tonight's starting grid. All right, the man sitting on the pole had a great finish last week on the podium. That's James Harris in the 55. Puts down a pretty good lap time to get himself that front row starting spot. Alongside him in second, the outside pole tonight is going to be Brandon Cooper in the 54. Noah Jackson will roll off from the third spot in the number 20 truck. Bryce Rayner, last week's runner-up finisher, he will start from fourth. Back in row number 3, it's going to be Harley Barletta alongside Kevin Kirchar. Toby Ritter's back in 7th with Jason Ethery in 8th. William Mann Jr. in 9th, and Tyler Meeks rounding out the top 10. Back in row number 6, it's going to be Chris Melton alongside Robert Wynn. The field continues to roll here tonight as we turn our attention back to row number 7, Sheldon Pearson alongside Chris Logan. And the last truck in the field here tonight, the number 112, is going to be Kevin Ward. He will roll off in 15th. All right, quick look at your race info here. It is the Kentucky 120. We're going to go 80 laps. That breaks down to 120 miles here. 100% fuel, 2 sets of tires as always. And the drivers do have that one faster pair in their back pocket, fixed setups, and 2 green-white checkers if we were to need them. Kentucky Motor Speedway, again, about a mile and a half in length. Track temp tonight going to be 107, so a little bit on the warm side, but nothing too crazy. Weather on the sim, 69 degrees, partly cloudy skies, and relatively calm winds. Not going to be an issue there. Kentucky, though, runs very different than some of the mile-and-a-halfs we go to. 1 and 2, a little bit more banking than 3 and 4, but also a little bit more narrow feeling. You get to 3 and 4, it's a big sweeping corner, but again, not as much banking. You might see a few drivers actually try to go on the apron through 3 and 4. Again, there is no out of bounds here, so you could also utilize that apron down the front stretch. All right, Andrew Hale, last week's winner, by the way. We talked about how big of a win that was for him. He is not in the field here tonight. So it may kind of hurt his point standings in terms of he got that and got himself back in the conversation, but not being here tonight certainly not going to help him out in that category. All right, pace car pulls off, and here we go into the restart zone led by James Harris and Brandon Cooper. Green flag is in the air. We are racing at Kentucky. Off of turn 2 for the first time tonight. Still 2x2 down the backstretch, but James Harris is able to get out in front of all of them. He'll lead him down. Trouble Rayner with a big slide. Oh my goodness, Bryce Rayner holds on. After a big slide on the entry to turn number 3, he loses a ton of spots, but he saves the truck. The 316 is going to be able to make it around. That's Sheldon Pearson. Melton got by. About 5 to 7 different trucks all passed him there. Just through 3 and 4 with that near incident. They're still scrambling back here for position. James Harris, and Noah Jackson trying to walk away from everybody else at the moment, but they still haven't found a way to sort it all out here back for the right around 8th to 10th place positions. There's Tyler Meeks alongside Jason Ethery in the 34. William Mann Jr. trying to hold off these two. He'll dive down low, but don't see a ton of trucks utilizing that apron just yet. You see him kind of cut it right down the short chute to turn number 1, but that's about the extent of it. And now it looks like Nethery is going to be able to pull ahead of Tyler Meeks. He'll slot in line behind the 29, and all of a sudden, 3 laps in, things are finally starting to single file out here just a little bit. Meanwhile, up front, the battle for the lead. James Harris, after a podium finish 3rd last week, knows that he is currently leading the points championship. He wants to try to start walking away with this thing, see if he can be crowned a Grindstone Developments Truck Series champion this season. Nathan Harper we got an update, by the way, last week on Harper that he did have to go back to school, and as a result, obviously not going to be able to make as many races now, which is unfortunate because he was right there with James Harris in the battle for the lead in the point standings, but obviously him not being here is going to hurt his standings as well. So now it becomes a question of, can anybody catch James Harris? Noah Jackson certainly is trying to here tonight. So he's in that second spot, and he's been faster the last couple laps. They've been kind of trading back and forth here for the most part, but I think Harris right now is just trying to hold him off until the tires start to wear out. Noah Jackson is saying, man, I got to go. See if he decides to make a move down the backstretch this time. And I think 1 and 2 is, you know, arguably the better corner to try to make the pass, but I don't know. You could argue a few places. In 3 and 4, we've already seen guys work in a couple of different grooves, but it just gets so tight off the corner in turn 4 that it just seems like it's really, really difficult to try to go side by side through there. We'll have to see what Jackson decides to do if he does make the move. He could also right now be seeing if they can create a little bit of distance between third on back. Nope, he's going to take a look this time. He ran that wide arc through the corner and was able to get a little momentum on exit, and here we go. Pass for the lead. Noah Jackson trying to get around James Harris. Is he going to do it? He does. He'll slide clear through the middle of 3 and 4, new leader. And it's the Quick Trip 20 Chevy Silverado of Noah Jackson. His first lap led of the night after qualifying on that 3rd position. Brandon Cooper, by the way, still hanging in the mix, as is Harley Barletta in the 31 in the Bucky scheme. He's also sticking around, and then just a few spots back. We still got more battling now as they get 2x2 again. Right around the 8th and 9th position here. That's Jason Ethery and Tyler Meeks, who have already had a couple run-ins here tonight battling for track position. Neither driver able to prevail just yet. Meeks is going to try the outside. If he can make it stick, he does. He'll have some momentum here down the straight, but isn't enough to get clear. Not quite. They stay dead even down into turn 1. Tyler Meeks got to watch out. Bryce Rayner, who had that big moment on the first lap, he is now starting to make his way back through the field. You got to think for Rayner, though, this is obviously going against all the strategy that we're so used to seeing from him, where we know that he likes to save tire and make moves in the long run, but when you lose track position like that early, you know that all of a sudden it kind of becomes you just got to try to battle back for whatever track position you can get, and then once you make the next pit stop, then you can try to kind of get back in the saddle and get on the original strategy that you had planned for the night, but certainly not the way Bryce Rayner wanted to start things, and looks like he'll now be able to complete this pass around Tyler Meeks on the outside of turn number 2. By the way, we do have a couple of driver cams here tonight. First up is Toby Ritters, who has himself a great run going right now, up in the 5th position. Ritters kind of on an island by himself right now. Driver out of Shady Cove, no issues with anybody out front or behind, just cruising along right now. And he is up 2 positions where he started this race at. And then the man a few spots even higher, Brandon Cooper, carrying an onboard view for us here tonight, trying to chase down your 2 leaders. As he currently sits just behind James Harrison. For Brandon Cooper, we've seen speed out of him before. Now, I will say, as he tries to track down James Harris, you got to wonder, is Noah Jackson saving anything? I mean, he went and got to the front and looked like he was running Harris so hard every lap that he was in second. And as soon as he got by, I mean, he's continued to stretch the gap. But, you know, I wonder if Noah's using up his stuff or if he's really just found something in this truck that these guys are going to struggle to try to keep up with here through the night. Is caution. Trouble out back with the 91 of Kirchard. He gets turned again. Pretty hard hit into the outside wall for Kevin Kirchard. Puts us under caution for the first time here tonight, and the engine has gone kaboom on his Chevy Silverado, and I'm going to assume that's probably from that impact to the outside wall. So he's going to have to take it to the pits. This will be his one fast repair gone well within the first quarter of this race. And you just see him now trying to limp it around. He's just going to try to make it to the pits so he doesn't have to pay the tow bill. But heavy, heavy nose damage. Kevin Kirchard, let's go back and see what happened here. As I would reckon this is going to bring everybody in for a first pit stop here tonight. And ooh, some contact there with Melton. And just gets him a little loose, sends him up. And then the 91 going for a big slide. Man, how did Jason Nethery miss him? And then as he starts to save it, truck comes back down the banking, gets into Kevin Ward, and I think Ward saves it. Maybe only a little bit of contact, but that's what sent Kirchard back up into the outside wall. And really, until that, I think he gets away with it okay, but obviously that damage certainly going to cause him some problems as I want to show you here the chopper view. Let's see, does Kirchar come down? Is Melton coming up? Ooh. Might have been a little bit of both. Couldn't quite tell from that. All right, so at this point, Kirchar's kind of got his left sides painted on that dark seam. Kirchar maybe goes down a little bit, but I would argue that you can't really put that on Kevin because I don't think he's really moving that much. I think Chris kind of sends it in here a little bit deep. I don't think Chris quite wrapped the bottom as much as maybe he was planning to. And, you know, really, that's just tough racing. I don't think anybody's doing anything too crazy. There was also a little bit of netcode there that could have certainly played a part in that. I just think that, you know, Kevin's obviously not expecting Chris to dive it in there that deep, and Chris just bobbling just the slightest bit. Gets up, maybe a slight bit of contact or netcode between him and Kirchar, and then there's the big hit. Kirchar could not avoid, and lucky that this didn't take out a few more. I mean, this was in a pretty populated group right here. Again, watch for Kevin Ward. Tyler Meeks just skates by. Here's Kevin Ward, and I mean, there's just nothing he can do. He's already committed to the bottom trying to get by, and for Kirchar, it's that big hit. All four tires briefly off the ground. Give you one more look at this here. I want to go to the onboard view of Jason Nethery, who did an incredible job to miss this. I don't know how he did. But let's take an onboard view here. This is, again, the 34 of Nethery's. Watch as he goes into turn one. And he's going to see the contact right there. He's got to decide. He goes high, and boy, Kevin just barely to his left side right before the contact happened, and that was a close call for Jason Nethery. Does a nice job to avoid it, though, and still has himself up in the 11th position as a result. All right, getting ready to go back to green flag racing. You see the lights on the pace car are off, and we did have a pit stop there. Quite a few drivers bringing it in, and you know, with the fixed setups, I know there's been a few races where we've seen more cautions, but when the fields are, I don't want to say small, but a little bit smaller, I guess would be the best way to put it, kind of as it is here tonight, you got to take advantage of every pit stop that you get, because you just don't know if that's going to be your only chance to pit under yellow, and certainly don't want to fall behind on strategy compared to everybody else by not pitting. As we go back and look briefly here, James Harris, did he not pit? He didn't. Wow, that's a lot of drivers to not pit up front. That kind of surprises me. See that many guys up front actually not pit. I thought that we had most of the drivers pit, but it looks like it actually started right around Chris Melton, Jason Nethery, Bryce Rayner, and Tyler Meeks were kind of the first trucks to pit, and looking like where they're going to line up is right around just inside the top 10 is where the first trucks on fresh tires are. So that's another thing we'll keep an eye on here to see if they gain an advantage there, and obviously taking some fuel. So we'll see what happens here, but definitely surprising. 12 laps in the books. I really thought we'd see some more pit stops. Wonder if these guys are thinking we might see another quick caution here. Have to wait and find out. All right, here we go. Pace car pulls off. Let's try it again. It's going to be 15 of 80 laps complete. When they cross the line this time, it's the green flag is back in the air. 15 laps complete at Kentucky, and it's a great jump for Noah Jackson in the 20. He caught James Harris sleeping a little bit. It's going to allow this inside to roll. Brandon Cooper, big opportunity here. He knows that he also needs to try to get clear of the 55 right here, get that position so he can go chase down your leader. Cooper does just that. Harris, smart to slot in line. He also doesn't want to see the leader run away. Meanwhile, further back, 2, 3, almost 4 wide now as they go into turn 3. Meeks up the middle. The 89 of Chris Melton on the bottom, and the 316 of Sheldon Pearson on the outside. Melton's got to be careful. He wants to slide up in front of the 7, but there's not enough room behind Kevin Ward, who right now is kind of like a moving roadblock. These guys have a ton of momentum, but there's nowhere to go with it. Down into turn 1, still side by side between Meeks and Melton. Melton's going to get clear up in front of Meeks, but he'll stay down low. He's going to go for a 2-for-1 here. He wants to get by Kevin Ward so he can go try to chase down the lead pack. Can he do it here? Down into turn 3. He's going to try it. He's got 1. Can he get 2? Yes, he does. He'll slide up in front of Kevin Ward coming off of turn 4. Ward got a big run back, but I think he's content to stay where he is. Meeks side drafts him 2 down the front stretch, and that keeps those 2 side by side. And a little bit further back here, how about the 16? Robert Wynn going at it with Chris Logan. These 2 maybe not quite the best start to their season. You know, they haven't quite made the impact that I'm sure they wanted to at the start. We've seen, especially, I think it was Chris Logan. He had a couple of really tough breaks in a few of the races since he started this year, but Robert Wynn certainly looking for a good run tonight, as is Chris Logan, but it's not panning out for him at the moment. As we go back a little bit further up here, the 31, Harley Barletta, in fourth on an island by himself. And update on Toby Ritter, still in that fifth spot, battling William Mann Jr. here. This is going to be for that fifth position. William Mann Jr. in the sun drop scheme, trying to make something happen right here. He's not going to have any luck right there. And as we go back towards the front here, Noah Jackson going to lead lap 19 as he is now almost taken over for the most laps led tonight. Between him and James Harris, actually he has, if you include the caution laps. So as it stands here, for James Harris, and he's trying to track these two down, but it seems like even as he continues to sit here and wait patiently behind Brandon Cooper, I mean, those two are getting a little bit of drafting help with each other down the front stretch, but it's not much. And now, oh, Harris, he gets into him. He's going to tug him again. Are they going to wreck? Cooper saves it, but he goes up into the outside wall. Just as I was mentioning, they were helping each other. Harris made the move into 3, and then there was some contact. Cooper falling way back here as he's going to try to stay in front of William Mann Jr. and Toby Ritters. Almost some more contact. Ritters is going to hold him tight coming off the corner, but it looks like Cooper's going to be able to recover. But, oh, man, what a close call we had. And another one. Toby Ritter's getting tight through the center of the corner. We're showing you Brandon Cooper right now, but if we show you our other driver cam, that's the two battling. Ritters versus Brandon Cooper. And I'll tell you what, I'm looking at this from the perspective of, if you're Brandon Cooper, you're probably not too happy with James Harris. Obviously, it wasn't anything intentional, but that still cost him. Let's go back and see if we can rewind this a couple laps and show you exactly what happened there. Again, it was going through 3 and 4, which I talked about. That corner gets really tight, and if you're running 2x2, it's going to get even more tight. But, you know, I think James Harris had been running behind him for a while and started to feel like they just weren't making any progress. And so he's going to try to get by him here. He ducks to the inside going into 3. Gets a good run initially, but this is right as you're getting to the center of the corner, and the truck just starts to get tight on him. Starts to chase it up here, and further up he goes. Brandon Cooper has not moved, and eventually Harris slides right up into his left rear. And look how sideways Brandon Cooper is. Then they make more contact. Cooper saves it, but again goes up into the wall as part of it. Eventually able to straighten it back out, and he finds a spot to get back in line, but certainly lost 3 of 5 positions through that whole ordeal. All right, 23 of 80 laps now complete. And up front, it is still all the 20 of Noah Jackson, who's been looking very, very good so far since he took the lead. James Harris in that second spot. Harley Barletta back in third. Brandon Cooper fourth, and William Mann Jr. rounding out the top 5. Cooper, though, going to take another look here now. He wants some position back. He's going to try to see if he can take it from the 31 of Barletta. Not going to be able to do it, at least not right now, but Barletta, keep an eye. He's been another driver here where we haven't seen him the whole season, but when he makes a run out here, he's certainly been fast, and wouldn't be too shocked if we see him in victory lane at some point before the season is all said and done. And by the way, looking at pit stop wise, I mean, again, very surprising still. I'm still kind of baffled by this whole ordeal of the drivers that were up front not pitting. I know we only ran about 7 to 12 laps or so, but I still think that's enough here where you would went in taking tires and maybe some fuel, but they have not done that. So that makes me start to think now that this first pit stop here for the guys who didn't pit, probably somewhere right around lap, if I had to guess, lap 40 or so, maybe in the 40s to 50s range. Just I'm not sure the exact fuel mileage these guys can make at these mile-and-a-halves, but I think the other big thing that I'm thinking about here is tires. We haven't seen any sort of big advantage from the drivers that did go into pit, and that makes me think maybe tire wear wasn't quite as significant as what I thought. And I mean, I can double check the data here as much as I want, but yeah, we did not see the leaders pit, and even the guys that went in and I would assume took tires, they've not caught up yet. So we'll have to see how things pan out, but they're still single file up front, and it is still all the Noah Jackson show. Harley Barletta, though, maybe saving some tires because he is now making his way towards the front. He was just able to get clear off the nose of James Harris. Brandon Cooper has made his way back up here, and he might be trying to make a run at the 55 down the front stretch. He's not going to do it just yet. Still in line for the moment. Will he jump out here? Going through the corner. It looks like he will not. Barletta, though, back to side-by-side with James Harris off of turn 2. Harris still on the inside. You would think the outside would have the advantage through 3 and 4 because that guy on the inside gets so tight he just has to lift. And Harley Barletta caught him so quick. I thought this would be a pretty clean and easy pass, but Harris is battling back now. Maybe it was the opposite. Maybe James Harris has been saving some tire, and he feels like it's time to go as he now puts the pressure back on. Brandon Cooper there as well. You wonder who he tries to go with to help. Nowhere to go yet. Harris up the track. Man, he really pushed Harley Barletta close to that green safer barrier, but he's going to keep it off. And now the 55 is actually going to get back clear. Barletta looking for another crossover. This is great stuff here with 28 laps complete. These guys not even halfway, and they're racing like we're coming to the checkered. Cooper now to the outside. He'll pull a little side draft on Harley Barletta here. Does he look 3 wide, or does he stick with Harris here through 1 and 2? Looks like he'll stick with them for the moment. Harris back out in front, and all this battling has allowed Noah Jackson to stretch it out now by about 2 seconds. The distance between first and second. Oh, man, you saw Harley. He had to live big time right there. He got really, really tight going through the center of the corner there. Didn't want to hit Brandon Cooper, and all the momentum he lost now has William Mann Jr. alongside. Bryce Rayner up here as well. And the other thing that I would say here is, you know, at some point, you got to think that if you're James Harris, you know, if you feel like you're not going to be able to run down the leader, which he still may, still could certainly have some tire that he saved to go up there and try to catch it, but if he feels like he can't, do you try to play some strategy? Try to beat him in the pits. See if you either pit early or play defense late, or does he somehow try to split the strategy up a little different? That'll be, I think, the big question. But again, track position seeming to be the most important thing here tonight of everything that we have seen. And the other thing that I want to mention is, you know, for some of these guys, they're looking for their first win. We're getting late in the season, and this is one of the tracks where I think everybody's got a good shot. When you look at some of the other tracks, Watkins Glen, there's usually 1 or 2 guys that are really good at road courses. I got to assume one of them is going to prevail there. But then as we get to the short tracks, we know how much Bryce Rayner, Andrew Hale, how good they are at those racetracks, and I think it would go back to maybe them being favored once we get into that part of the schedule. And hey, by the way, if you're just tuning in, we appreciate you being here. You are watching the Grindstone Developments Truck Series on PGR eSports here at Kentucky. 32 of 80 laps complete. Man, for James Harris and really everybody that's second to fourth, they have not been able to sort this out. Who wants that second position? And even doing so, I will say all of a sudden Noah Jackson not quite running away as quickly anymore, but tip of the hat to Brandon Cooper as he gets clear on James Harris. He had to come back from almost wrecking some contact earlier between him and James Harris. He lost multiple positions, had to get back in the rhythm, get all those spots back, and still go up here and get back around James Harris and Harley Barletta. And so now we'll see if maybe he's got what it takes to try to go track down your leader, Noah Jackson. William Mann Jr. looking for potentially his best run of the season here tonight. In 5th right now, and that's up 4 positions from where he started this race at. And if he's able to keep going here, he could be in contention for a podium, but he's going to have to contend with Bryce Rayner right here. The 99 of Rayner, the dry ride of Clark Summit, Pennsylvania, representing Digital Sim Sport and Team Conti Sim Performance. He'll slide clear, and maybe Rayner was the one saving tire. He was one of the drivers that went into pit, even with only a few laps complete. And so he should, in theory, have that tire advantage. We'll see if he continues to march his way through the field and how far he can get before we get to a point where we have to start talking about potentially a green flag pit stop, which has not been something that has even been a conversation yet here tonight because of that early caution. So we'll see if that changes, but 35 going to be 36 of 80 laps complete when they cross the line next time around. And that long single file line stretches from 2nd all the way back to about 8th right now. And then another pack back here battling. That's Jason Nethery alongside Sheldon Pearson. Pearson looking to get cleared through turn 4. He'll do that. Slides up. That's another spot for the 316. Jason Nethery, though, quickly to the outside. Oh, my goodness. Almost some contact right there, as I couldn't tell if Nethery went to grab the side draft or the 316 went up to try to block. That could have been a huge incident if they would have made contact at that point on the straightaway. Everybody saves it, though, but we have certainly had some close calls here tonight, even after that first caution. Everybody continues to keep it together and keep it clean, though. So your top three finally starting to try to get a little bit of distance between themselves and everybody else. But the 99 of Bryce Rayner continuing to track up through the field. He is now all the way up to that 5th position. He's going to be looking for more here. We're going to hop on the cockpit view, and Rayner trying to get clear. Not able to do it, though, yet. Him and Harley Barletta are going to stay side by side here into turn 3. And you can just hear Rayner. I mean, he's out of the throttle for so long, and even still, you hear the front tires just sliding, just getting really, really tight on exit through turn 4 as these tires wear out more and more. And each lap here, if Rayner gets stuck beside the 31 of Harley Barletta, it's just going to cost him more each time. The 99 knows he's got to get clear. We'll see if he can do it here off the turn 2. And he does. Oh, he's going to slam the door on Harley right there. Probably a little bit of contact, but Rayner felt like he had to get it, and Harley Barletta seems to be okay with it. Back up front, the 20 still leading the way. Noah Jackson, followed by Brandon Cooper, James Harris, and Bryce Rayner now up to that 4th position. All right. So as we continue now to get ready to cross the halfway point here at Kentucky, still going to be talking about a pit stop at one point, and we are going to go ahead and take a quick break as Noah Jackson continues to lead. We'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Kentucky.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
Three by three. Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill.
On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. To the finish. Who gets it in the line? Cody Nagels wins it in Talladega.
Welcome back to Kentucky Speedway for the Grindstone Developments Truck Series. 44 of 80 laps complete, and while we were on break, no major changes, and definitely not up front. Noah Jackson continues to lead the way, has led the most laps tonight, and looking for his first win in what I believe is going to be his first race of the season. That's the other point I didn't really touch on when I talked about him a few times tonight, but I have not seen him out this season, at least in the races that I've broadcasted, and Well, he comes out here tonight and looks like he's a seasoned veteran. Qualifies third, gets out in front, and has not looked back, and he still holds a 2-second lead over second place, where we have seen a change. James Harris now up to that second spot. Bryce Rayner third. Harley Barletta now back and forth, but oh, here we go. Starting to see some more pit stops. The 31 of Barletta and the 89 of Chris Melton bringing it in. Kevin Kirchar as well. Sheldon Pearson. We saw Brandon Cooper already make a pit stop, so he was the first driver of the front three to go in and take tires, and I would assume he's trying to short pit the leader and try to play defense at the end. But for Harley Barletta here and really everybody else, the call is simple. 4 tires and fuel. And once you get that fuel, you should be good to go here the rest of the way. It's just going to be about maybe a little bit of tire management, but I mean, we're going to only have about 30 laps to go here when pit cycles are wrapped up. Maybe a little bit less depending on how far the leaders decide to stretch it. And I mean, I would definitely say if you're Noah Jackson, I don't know if he's got tabs on the lap times he's running or the gap between him and first and second, but it continues to stretch, even if only a little bit. And if that's the case, you want to stay out until everybody else pits, because you want to have the freshest tires if you're the leader, so that you can go up there and play offense the rest of the way. You don't want to give somebody behind you a tire advantage to try to track you down with through this green flag pit stop. And the other thing for at least Noah Jackson is no mistakes. I mean, when you've got a over 2-second lead, you should not be trying to get into pits here as hard as you physically can. You need to take it a little bit easy and just make sure that you don't get a speeding penalty. Make sure you don't make a mistake with the commitment cone. You just got to make sure you get in clean, get into the box clean, and get out without any issues. And if you're Noah Jackson and you do that, I think without a caution here, this is probably his race to lose. The only other truck right now I see having a shot at him would be Brandon Cooper, going on that really early pit strategy. And even with that being the case, I think for Cooper, he's just his tires are gonna be too worn out by the end of this race that it's not gonna be much work for the leader. But Cooper still a lap down, as is Barletta, Melton, Ritters, Kirchar, Nethery, Pearson, and Logan. All the trucks who have made a pit stop so far here tonight. And once the leaders pit, most of them should cycle back onto the lead lap. But as it stands right now, I mean, you see the track map. We've got trucks all over the place. Good indication of kind of the chaos that goes into it once pit cycling begins. And another update here on the weather conditions. Notice track temp 104. Again, that has actually dropped, if anything, a little bit from what it was at the start of this race. So not that bad, but the speeds they run here at Kentucky for a mile and a half, they still go pretty quick here, about 180 miles an hour into turn 3. And then as they work through 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, the slowest speed you'll see them get to is really right around the 140 marker. Definitely one of the greatest tracks, mile and a half wise, that NASCAR used to have in real life before they stopped going there on the schedule. But glad to see the Grindstone Developments guys still going here is James Harris. He'll now bring it in for service. And for James Harris right here, the call should be 4 tires and fuel. We'll see if that is indeed what he decides to take. And so Brandon Cooper now going to cycle back up to just about that 4th position. Noah Jackson, though, still yet to pit. Cooper looking to get his lap back here in just a moment. And once he does that, I can say for sure that Brandon Cooper will come out as the leader once everything finishes cycling out. And so it's just going to be a question then of how do these other guys fare. As here we go. Noah Jackson now making his pit stop, and he got in clean. Now he's got to get into his box the same exact way. You're on old tires here. Sometimes it can be a little tricky trying to get in the box. You don't want to slide past that pit sign. Even backing up can take off half to a second's worth of time, which may not be a lot on the racetrack, or maybe not a lot in the pits, but it's a lot on the racetrack. Looks like all good there. He's going to take rights, and looks like he'll take lefts as well. All right, so Noah Jackson, 4 tires and fuel, as is Tyler Meeks there just behind him. And boy, I will say this, Brandon Cooper, I mean, he came out way in front of the 20 truck. He's going to have probably almost half a track, if not a little bit more here, advantage on Noah Jackson. Boy, let's see how this looks when it all plays out. But for Noah Jackson here, still trying to get up to speed. Let's see when he merges here into turn 3. That'll be about when he's up to full pace. And so right about now, he's in turn 3. And Brandon Cooper is almost into turn 1. So they've probably got, not quite, but just short of half a track separating them. And you can see there, just in terms of time, for Noah Jackson, he lost a ton of spots here. And I take it back. Maybe he did have some sort of issue here in the pits. I didn't notice anything out of the ordinary, but man, he lost a lot of time. So we're going to go back and do some comparison here now that Brandon Cooper has the lead while we have a moment. Let's watch Cooper's pit stop here. Did he maybe only take 2 tires? He was certainly sending it in there. He did not want to make a mistake, but he also knew he had to make up time, and it's like he drove it in about as deep as he could, and then see here as he goes in to make a pit stop. Does he only take 2 tires? That's my question here. No. So Cooper takes 4. The pit stop looked pretty good there, at least from everything I could see. And then if we go back to Noah Jackson's pit stop here, let's go back to when he enters the pits. Again, I felt like Noah did everything okay here from what I could see. But it seems that he must have had some sort of issue here. Oh, does he go in too early? Or does he go on the apron too soon? Oh, he does. Oh, man, look how much time he's losing. Oh, that's exactly what happened. Noah Jackson, I know I said he needed to play it safe and go easy when he was going in, but yeah, he took way too much time there on pit entry. He probably lost his 2 seconds just from the pit entry alone. And so, oh man, for Noah Jackson, that's where he lost all of his time, and as a result, he goes from the favorite of winning this race to now sitting in 6th with 25 laps to go, and he's going to have to find a way to make up 13 seconds to get back to Brandon Cooper. Harley Barletta currently in 2nd, and he is about 5 seconds behind the leader. So now all of a sudden I start to wonder, what can guys like Bryce Rayner, James Harris, and Chris Melton do? Melton pitted a little bit earlier, but especially for Rayner and Harris, all of a sudden they're back in contention to potentially try to win this race. And so they have still quite a bit of time to track down, 24 laps to do it. I think it is still certainly in the cards, but they're going to have to get to it here pretty quickly if they want to make up that ground. But for Brandon Cooper, this turns into just no mistakes, and he's probably hoping that we don't see a caution with the lead that he's got, at least here at the moment. So again, if you're just tuning in, we appreciate you being here. Big changes. Noah Jackson, arguably the most dominant truck of the race, has led the most laps. Too slow through his pit entry, lost a ton of time, and he went in as the leader, but he did not come out that way. He is all the way back in the 6th spot, 11 seconds back, trying to find a way to track down Brandon Cooper and everybody else chasing after him here, which is 23, going to be 22 laps left in this race. By the way, if you didn't hear me earlier when I mentioned the schedule, next week we're going to be heading to the only road course of the season, Watkins Glen. So certainly going to be an interesting one there before we head to a couple of short tracks, and then Darlington and Atlanta to round out the season. So we're already over the halfway point. And by the way, these guys announcing that next year they're going to be switching to a late model series instead of the trucks. So that's certainly another interesting thing to keep an eye on. We'll have to see, at least for these guys, if we see a new championship favorite once they eventually switch to the late models. As it stands right now, I think the favorite for the truck championship this season is probably James Harris, with how far he is ahead in points. I mean, even if Brandon Cooper wins this race, we go to the point standings, James Harris finishing in the top 3 is basically the equivalent of him winning with the way he's currently in the points. And for Brandon Cooper, who again, we've only seen make a couple of starts this season, 25th in points, he's not really here running for the championship, more so just trying to grab some trophies. So we'll have to see how things pan out, but it is going to be 20 laps to go this time, so we're slowly winding down on the end of the Kentucky 120. We're going to go ahead and take one more quick break. We'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Can Brandon Cooper hold on? We'll find out when we come back.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive. Especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
3x3. Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill.
Hard into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. To the finish. Who gets it at the line? Cody Nagels wins it at Talladega.
Welcome back to Kentucky Speedway. The Grindstone Developments Truck Series winding down on the end of the Kentucky 120, and right now it's still Brandon Cooper up front, going to be coming to 14 laps to go, but the guys behind are closing. The big question is just, are they going to be able to close enough in the laps that we have left? The gap between Cooper and Rayner, who currently sits in second, is just under 5.5 seconds. James Harris right there with Rayner, so those two would be in the mix if they can get there. Harley Barletta and Noah Jackson just around 6 seconds back. And, of course, Noah Jackson on the freshest tires of everybody in the top 5. So the big questions are going to be, can they get there? And if so, how many of them can get there? And that would certainly change the end of this race a lot. But I just don't know. Again, 5 seconds is still a lot for only 14 laps to go. I still think a caution is almost going to be needed here for these guys to actually be able to catch. But you never know. I mean, if they start putting down some heaters here, I guess it is still certainly possible. But for Brandon Cooper, I mean, what a recovery. He's got to be feeling good regardless of how this finishes. You know, he wants to obviously win, but, I mean, even if he gets second, got to be feeling pretty good after the way things went earlier. One more look at our driver cams here tonight. Toby Ritters has fallen a lap down. I believe he had some sort of issue during the pit stop. So he currently finds himself in that 14th spot. Not quite representing the speed that he had today. Certainly looked like that truck was going to finish in the top 5 with the way it was going earlier. Doesn't seem like it's going to be that way anymore. And then, of course, your race leader, Brandon Cooper, trying to finish the deal off. Just 12 laps to go, and he still has a 4.5+ second lead on Bryce Rayner. And for Brandon Cooper, this would be his first win of the season. Bryce Rayner, though, in a similar spot, looking for his first win of the season. And man, it would be really big for him if he could make that happen here tonight. And I think if within 10 laps to go, if he doesn't have it under 4 seconds, I just don't see it. James Harris has started to fall off the back bumper of Rayner, though, which makes me wonder if maybe Bryce was saving just a little bit. And don't think now, but here comes Noah Jackson. He's got it under 6 seconds, and as fast as he is, you wonder if these guys let him go by to see if he can go track down the leader, or if they decide to maybe try to go ahead and race him, since we're pretty much towards the end of this one anyway. I think that'll certainly be the big question here. Back at the front, though, Brandon Cooper. He'll see 10 laps to go here this time as he works his way off of turn 4, and the truck has looked pretty good here. No major moments here where he's looked either really loose or really tight. I mean, he looks very comfortable out in front. And as we go back further in the field here, checking on some of the battles that we had developing earlier and the way they've kind of played out. Again, 13 trucks still on the lead lap. The only one that could be potentially in danger still going a lap down would maybe be Kevin Ward, who's about 26 seconds back from your leader. And you can see him on the track map there, separated by about 2 corners. Sheldon Pearson in that 12th position. Chris Logan made up some spots. He's now in 11th, Jason Ethery 10th, Robert Wynn 9th. William Mann Jr. is up in the 8th spot. You've got Chris Melton in the 7th spot. And then Tyler Meeks looking to see if he can maybe break into the top 5, if he can make this pass on Harley Barletta over the course of about the next 9 laps. And then we go another spot up here. Noah Jackson in 4th, and I'm still looking at that gap with where it stands for him right now. And for Noah Jackson here, it's got to make up still about another 5 seconds, so it's still not looking super likely, but I wouldn't completely rule it out yet. And with 9 laps to go, make it 8 now for Brandon Cooper. As each lap goes by, more and more, I think he's thinking, guys, please don't wreck. That caution comes out, I think everybody would go in and take that second set of tires, and it would certainly make for a crazy, crazy finish here in Kentucky. Bryce Rayner now has that gap just about under 4 seconds, but even if you call it 4, starting this last lap, he would have been needing to make up about a half a second a lap, and he's just not running that pace. I can show you that on the time delta too here for Rayner versus Cooper. You can see it right there. Bryce Rayner has been slowly trimming it down, but just not by much. I think if you're Brandon Cooper here, you're obviously feeling good. Harris, by the way, this will be his second week in a row of a podium after a thrilling finish at Gateway a couple weeks ago, by the way, from what I had heard. Certainly unfortunate that we missed out on the end of that one, but we had a pretty good finish last week. Grant Enfinger made that race. It was good to see him there. As we now see officially just 6 laps to go here at Kentucky, and the way it stands right now, I still think there's a big opportunity here for a caution, even though guys are single file, because we're at the end of a tire run, and all it takes is getting in the wall once or making a brief mistake, and it can really shuffle things around. But Brandon Cooper continues to put down lap times like it's nothing, no issues, and he is trying everything right now just to see if he can get to the white flag. 5 laps to go this time. Just a few more times around. Brandon Cooper for his first win of the season. Harris continues to chase, but that gap has all of a sudden started to kind of flatten out. Doesn't seem like it's closing anymore. Hanging right around the 4-second mark, and you wonder, for Bryce Rayner, has he maybe used up whatever he had left? Battle for the 3rd spot. This is going to be for the final podium position here. Noah Jackson has got the slightly better tires, and he's trying everything right here to get by the 55 of James Harris. He's looking to the inside. Harris still, though, playing that defensive line up top. Jackson's going to have 3 more attempts here, at least in terms of lap count, to try to get by the 55 of James Harris. We'll see how that battle pans out here over the next couple laps before we go back up to your leader for the end of this one. But Noah Jackson, he's got another big run. Remember, he was able to get by Harris in 1 and 2 early in the race for the lead. Wonder if he tries that same exact move, or does he try to change it up a little bit on him right here? No move just yet. Still trying to get that nose a little bit lower. He wants a little bit of clean air to see if he can try to get under the 55 of Harris, but the tires for everybody right now just so worn out that making any sort of move is getting really, really difficult. For the 54, Brandon Cooper here, just 2 laps to go. We'll see if he can make it happen right here. 2 laps to grab the white flag, that is. Make this race official and try to chase the checkered flag. Grabbing his first win of the season. By the way, next stop on PGR eSports is going to be Thursday night at the Intimidator Super Speedway Series. Make sure that you... Actually, I take that back. We're on a break this week after the Summer Slam, so that'll be next week. The PGR Intimidator Super Speedway Series will return. So actually, next stop for me is going to be packed with these guys next week at Watkins Glen. Certainly looking forward to that one. Back to the battle between Harris and Jackson. Jackson was able to finally get the better of Harris, got by, and looking like he will finish in that final podium position. Barletta going to see if he can get around Meeks, but I think he's used up his stuff. Now off of turn 4, Brandon Cooper. This is what he wants to see. White flag. 1 lap to go. Just a mile and a half remaining for the 54 to grab his first win here of the 2025 season. Brandon Cooper again looked like almost was going to be involved in a caution earlier, but he somehow made an insane save while racing between him and James Harris. Fell back, got a couple spots back, and then he played the pitch strategy. I don't think anyone thought it would work. He went in early, but he came out in front, and he was able to stay out in front for the rest of the way. Brandon Cooper wins it at Kentucky. Bryce Rayner's going to take second, and it's Noah Jackson finishing on the podium. What a win, though, for Brandon Cooper. He's got to be feeling pretty good about that one. We might have missed the fist pump coming across the line, but I can tell you he's feeling pretty good about it. Bryce Rayner's going to go down here and give him a little tap. He's a good job on that one. So he'll bring it around and burn it down. And in the background, you see Tyler Meeks messing around. But, you know, with this being the way this race played out, too, I'll tell you, it's so interesting that the strategy worked out as good as it did for Brandon Cooper. I never would have guessed that. I mean, we almost never see short pitting that early actually work out, especially not at a mile and a half, maybe sometimes a short track, but boy, it worked out in a big way here tonight. for Brandon Cooper, and he's going to bring it around, and here we go. We're going to see some smoke for the Dixon Chevy Silverado. So as Cooper continues to celebrate and burn it down, we're going to take a look at your finishing results here tonight. Again, your race winner, the 54 of Brandon Cooper. Bryce Rayner takes home second. Noah Jackson in third with James Harris fourth. Tyler Meeks finishes in that fifth spot. It's Harley Barletta taking home sixth. Chris Melton seventh with William Mann Jr. in eighth. Robert Wynn in ninth, and Chris Logan rounding out the top 10. Jason Ethery finishes back in 11th. It's Sheldon Pearson in 12th. Kevin Ward 13th with Toby Ritters in 14th. And it's going to be Kevin Kirchar rounding out the field tonight. He finishes in 15th. All right, well, as your race winner continues to celebrate, we're going to go grab him and the other two finishers inside the top three for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Kentucky. All right, we're going to start first here tonight with your race winner, and that is Brandon Cooper. Brandon, this is all set up in the booth. You got a copy?
Copy.
Well, man, you get the race win here tonight, and listen, I know that you're not really in it for points this season, but it's got to feel good to get that first win of the season. And, I mean, the first question I got for you is, how did you pull that strategy call off?
Yeah, I have no idea. I was going really fast through the field on the green flag run, faster than James, faster than Noah. I was catching him a little bit. The second I started losing time, I decided to pit, and I think that was like lap 40 to 42. So I just held my ground. I knew they were going to come behind, they were going to be charging behind me, but I don't know if they were racing really hard, but luckily he just was not able to get to me. I can't believe I pulled it off.
Well, you did, and I also want to ask about that first pit sequence, or really the first caution, I should say, because you decide to stay out, and well, that caught me by surprise along with everybody else that stayed out. But did you feel like at the time that was the right call, and did it kind of change up the way you had to race, knowing there were guys behind you with fresher tires?
Oh, I was not worried at all. We only had like 10, 11 laps, and I think only like, I don't know, 5, 6 guys pitted. I wasn't too worried about it. I wanted to keep pace with the guys up in the front. So luckily we did make the right call staying out there after the first caution, and it ended up paying off for a win.
Yeah, it certainly did. And Brandon, first win of the season, and again, a big one for you here tonight at Kentucky. So before we let you head out, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Just thank Whitehead Racing. Really good guys to race with.
All right, and Brandon, thank you for talking to us. Again, congrats on the race win, and hopefully we'll see you again next week.
Yep.
All right, and now that'll bring us up to your second place finisher here tonight after Brandon Cooper got the win, and that is none other than the 99 of Bryce Rayner. Bryce, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Austin.
Well, you bring home second here tonight, second week in a row that you finish a bridesmaid, but it's still a good run, and you got to start to feel better about these runs you're putting together. It's just, what more do you think you needed tonight to get the win?
Fuel strategy and pit strategy. That's for sure. I was short on fuel there right after that green flag stop. Thought I put enough in it, but fortunately I did not. So I had a clutch and save a couple laps, and then we were pretty good, about 0.2 good. And and then I should have taken tires right after that first caution. Just felt like we might have been able to get another caution, but it all played out really well, and it went green from there. So the luck of the draw kind of stuck out on old tires with the rear tires kind of lit up there, but nothing you could do. But overall, it was actually a pretty good race, and came from the front to the back, back to the front, and we'll take a solid P2.
Absolutely, and I'm actually glad you mentioned that, because I thought on that pit stop that you were one of the few guys that went in and did take tires, but nonetheless, good to note there. Now, we did see early on in the race you had that big close call and that huge save. Do you felt like that may have put you a little bit behind the 8 ball, if you will, and maybe if that would not have happened, would you have had a better shot there up front?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Kentucky's really not one of my best tracks per se, and felt like if you had clean air, you could probably really determine where the momentum comes from and everything like that. So just to be kind of left rear that early, kind of a awkward move to say the least. I watched the replay. I don't know why it happened or what we could have prevented it, but either way, great save by me. Just lost all the track position that I had on lap one and had to fight for it. But yeah, my tires were pretty much cooked. I was able to move up right up to fourth or third there for the green flag pit stops, but my momentum was pretty much killed there without taking tires. So yeah, it stings a little bit. Thought we had a truck that was worthy of battling for the lead there, especially the tire saving, but not tonight.
Well, Bryce, before we let you head out to wrap up a good second place finish, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I want to thank you, Austin, up in the booth for putting us on PGR and everything that PGR does for our league as well. Great to go watch these back each and every week. Grindstone Developments for their participation and the sponsor that they give us for this league, as well as James Harris, the admins, who put this league together, and everybody who comes out to race these things, and Martin PC, Digital Sim Sports, Team Content Sim Performance, everybody who helps me. Yeah, just want to thank everybody for coming out and enjoying a good race.
And Bryce, thank you for talking to us. Congrats again on that second place finish, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thank you. Also,
And didn't mean to cut you short. Sorry, go ahead, Bryce.
you're good. No, I just want to congratulate Brandon on that win. Heck of a short pit fuel strategy there, or a tire strategy, and he held on pretty good, and I was very impressed. So congrats to him as well for the victory tonight.
Well, there you go. All right, that's Bryce Rayner, your second place finisher. Now to the final man on the podium tonight, Noah Jackson in the 20 truck. Noah, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, what's up?
Well, you finished in third tonight, but man, I got to think to a degree it feels a little bit like a loss because you were the fastest truck, at least from what it looked like, and all of a sudden things went south during the pit stop. What went wrong?
Well, whenever I got onto the apron on pit road, my right front was so wore out, I was scared it wasn't going to turn off the banking, so that's why I cut the apron so hard. And whenever they changed the right sides, I looked at what percentage my right front was at, and it was at 31%. So there was no way I was going to get it slowed down enough on the banking and still get it to turn down on the pit road.
Well, it's an unfortunate break, again, with how fast you were tonight, but you know, we talk about drivers that aren't necessarily running for the championship standings, but out here trying to get trophies, and as close as you come tonight and as good a run as you put together, do you feel like you have some confidence for any races that you run for the rest of the season?
Yeah, it's definitely some confidence, but at the same time, it was just fun for the first race to get out there and feel how everybody races. Yeah, me and Brandon, we race every week on Wednesday nights, and with Brock and Trey and Charles and all them guys, they're a good, really good group of guys, and it was just nice to come out here, and thanks to James for letting me join this league, even though I came in real late, but it was still nice for him to take me in and let me run the rest of the season out.
Absolutely. Well, Noah, before we let you head out here tonight, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, just thank to Trey and everybody over there at Whitehead Racing, James for putting on the league, you for broadcasting. You did an amazing job up there tonight, and just everybody that helps us out, Quick Trip, Whitehead Racing. There's a long list of people.
And Noah, thank you for talking to us. Congrats again on the podium finish, and hopefully we'll see you out here next week.
Thank you, bud.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up interviews and wrap up our coverage here tonight for the Grindstone Developments Truck Series at Kentucky. What a race it was. And what a win for Brandon Cooper. His first of the season. Bryce Rayner, though, coming up just short for the second week in a row. And next week, we are off to Watkins Glen and what's going to be a crazy one at a road course. As for tonight, thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, I hope you enjoyed. That's it for me, Austin Green, here on PGR eSports. And until next time,